All right, I got a video of a woman here who apparently hates our Constitution, hates our Second Amendment rights, and wants to rob us of them. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
This evening, I am before you to present H. 8073, the Unlawful Possession of Prohibited Firearms Act.
I'm going to turn off my... It's going to come through the phone. Okay.
This bill is straightforward. Last year, we as a body banned the sale, manufacture, and transfer of certain assault weapons.
Okay, so she's talking about that the government, I think this is Rhode Island, installed an unconstitutional law to ban certain weapons, to infringe the rights of the people of their Second Amendment rights. And so she's going to base what she said off of that, an unlawful law, and she's going to use that to justify even more.
As defined in that law. That was an important step, but it was only a partial one.
Not enough. It wasn't enough. They always want more. The gun grabbers always want more.
We should be honest about that. Right now, our law draws an arbitrary line.
Look at this liberal stereotype that wants to control you, wants to take your private property, take your Second Amendment right, take your ability to protect yourself, so that only the state is armed, the same state that will let the criminals go so that they can harm you and will call the criminals victims. This is the type of person. Look at her there. This is the little tyrant. This is the sort of person that is participating in destroying civilization. This is what they look like.
We have said that these firearms cannot enter the marketplace going forward, but we continue to allow them to remain in circulation indefinitely.
So banning the sale, but allowing people to still own them. Super unconstitutional. And it would be like banning radios, computers, typewriters, printers from sale, but allowing people to still own what they had. It'd be like banning Bibles, banning new manufactured and sale Bibles, but allowing you to still have your Bible.
Undermines the very policy we put in place and makes enforcement more difficult.
And she's saying that's not good enough. Not good enough. Once more.
If these weapons are too dangerous to be sold in Rhode Island, then we really should have addressed possession at the same time.
These arbitrarily determined these weapons, yeah, they are dangerous. They're designed to be dangerous. They're designed to uphold our Second Amendment right, which is to be able to be armed and defend ourselves. And of course, as technology improves, that sort of technology is applied to firearms just as it is applied to every form of technology. And the whole purpose is to have parity with whatever an unlawful, unconstitutional government would have, and as well as to be able to protect the nation, okay, from enemies, foreign and domestic. The whole purpose of the Second Amendment was to allow the people to be able to defend themselves, to have power against the power or the force of an authoritarian, out-of-control government, which would, a staple of which is to disarm the people. What she's doing right here, what she's talking about right here, is the very reason why the Second Amendment exists, so that you do not allow the government to overreach and take away. And what do they want to do? The left wants to take away your First and your Second Amendment rights. They want to censor your speech and say it's to protect people's feelings, and then they want to disarm you and say it's because of the violence. They destroy the culture. They let out criminals and call them victims. They destroy the culture so that there are more school shootings and things like that. They foster crime in the cities and then point at the violence and go, this is the reason why we need to disarm gun owners, largely conservative. This is a conservative block of voters, and so they're not worried about it. They figure their constituents will support it, and so they're not worried about losing those votes. They're not worried about systemic racism of disarming people or the systemic power of the state or the racist policing and justice system and systemic. They're not worried about those things when it comes to disarming people of a fundamental right to be able to arm and protect yourself. Huh.
We didn't, and this bill corrects that. This bill is narrow and targeted. It does not expand definitions. It applies only to firearms already covered under Rhode Island law. It simply addresses one word: possess.
Okay, the leftist Marxists don't believe in the right for you to own private property. They want to take away your property, and this is just another form of that. They want you disarmed. They want to be able to claim everything up to you are the property of the state. Okay, so that's a part of this. And of course, they don't want you to be able to fight against that, so they want to disarm you.
While also expanding the amount of time for individuals who currently own these weapons to come into compliance by selling or transferring them lawfully.
Give you time to have to divest yourself of your own property, of your own right, your constitutional right. She is saying you need to sell, you need to get rid of your constitutional right. This is something that gets me fired up. They will go on one hand and say how they care about the Constitution, and then out the other side of their mouth will immediately talk about disarming you. They'll say they care about, the oppressed peoples, and then they'll talk about disarming you. They'll go to a no kings rallying, no kings, Trump is a king, and then they'll talk about disarming you and curbing your speech, and that you need to be under the force and threat of the law, get rid of property that you are entitled to. The very right that exists in order to, as a barrier and a threat to the government, like that's what it exists as. That's what the Second Amendment is that if you mess with people's Second Amendment or any of their other rights, that the people, not in the Marxist way, Marxism doesn't represent the people. The left doesn't represent the people. It represents the elitist, champagne socialist bourgeois who imagine that they've got all the great ideas for the people of how they're going to rescue the people, while it really ends up with them on top and in control. They claim themselves to be representative of the peoples, and they are no such thing, and dupe people into believing it. But truly, the right to bear arms is a right of the people. The constitutional rights are rights of the people, and they want to take them away. And so the Second Amendment represents that bulwark of there's going to be a cost to doing that. And yet there is such confidence on the left to propose and successfully and ignore the Supreme Court unconstitutional laws. And they're the ones saying that they're against kings. The hypocrisy knows no ends. It pisses me off.
And we should be very clear about what we're talking about. These firearms are designed to increase rate of fire, improve accuracy, and maximize harm in a short period of time.
So she just lumps some different things together. She lumps logical sorts of things one would want in a firearm. She's saying that that's a bad thing. Making a firearm more accurate is a bad thing, she's saying. Well, for one, firearms have been plenty accurate for a long, long time. I mean, any well-made firearm is going to be perfectly adequate. And scopes have existed for a long time. I mean, what stupid nonsense is she saying here? Yes, putting rails, a scope, red dot, wanting to increase the magazine capacity so that you can have more bullets access, so that you don't have to reload as much. A semi-automatic action or even a fully automatic action so that you can put more bullets onto target so that it's easier. Like, it's 2026. I shouldn't have to use a typewriter. The government doesn't have a right to say you cannot do more than what a typewriter can do. The government doesn't have the right to say, you know what? A typewriter is too much too. That's too many words per minute. That's too many sheets of paper that you can type on. No, you have to go back in pen and pencil on paper. The government doesn't have the right to do that. Just as the government does not have any right to go, well, your firearm can't have Picatinny railed on it, or M-LOK. It can't hold that many bullets. We'll just arbitrarily say how many bullets. Well, it can't have a pistol grip. Your power drill can have a pistol grip. Your hair dryer can have a pistol grip, but you can't have a pistol grip on a gun because that would make it more comfortable to use. And well, you can't have a stock of this length. Well, you can't have a barrel of this length, and all the arbitrary little BS crap that the ATF regulates and that become assault weapons laws. They don't actually have the right to do any of this. The Second Amendment is very clear that these are not things that the government can regulate. And when you think about it in terms of like the First Amendment, you see how ridiculous all of these things are. The right to associate. Well, you can't have that many people that you associate with. You can't make a church that big, that capacity for a church. Like, you got to limit your church to 7 people or 10 people. You can't have 30 people in a church. That's a high capacity church, and that's breaking the law. When you apply it in any other realm, it becomes extremely ridiculous. And then so she's associating these technological advancements, these common sense sorts of things. It's just it's like, yeah, a gun that's accurate, a gun that's comfortable and effective to use. Oh, that makes it more dangerous and deadly. Well, I was like, well, I mean, kinda, and I have the right to do that. We have the right to do that. Yes, arms can advance as everything else can. And that's part of what the Second Amendment is about. They had repeating weapons back in the 1700s. There's an air gun back then that was a repeating weapon. They had cannons, like people privately had cannons in ships. The founders were very intelligent and forward-thinking, and they didn't have a concept of a computer, so I guess we'll ban computers and printers. Like, you see how stupid that is? And then she goes, well, there's shootings. It's like, well, there's shootings from crazy, confused kids that are being exposed to the toxic left-wing culture and what it's doing to the culture, and so the shootings are up. Again, criminals going through the revolving door justice system and not being kept in jail, not being executed when they ought to be. And so it furthers this violence, and it's all on purpose. It's all on purpose so it can come around here to then they can go, oh, see how dangerous we are, and tug on the heartstrings of people, tug on the heartstrings of other liberal women people to go, oh, well, we've just got to look at the bad things. Never mind all of the things that are avoided because of it. Never mind all the times that a gun saves somebody's life, that a gun deters a crime. Never mind how guns allow minorities to protect themselves and the usefulness it is for them. Never mind that it's part of American culture. Never mind our constitutional rights. They don't care about any of it. They don't care about culture when it's something that they don't like. They don't care about diversity of thought. They don't care about diversity when it comes to American culture. They're really, when it comes down to it, bullies. They want what they want. They're going to take what they want to take. And that's all they care about. And it pisses me off. The hypocrisy and double standards piss me off. And they'll use the blood of children to push these sorts of things, to have more disarmed, helpless people, create more victims, while at the same time, who are the ones that come and stop a school shooting? Well, hopefully it would be the police, and sometimes it's other people that will stop them, but it's almost always somebody, like probably 99% of the time, it's somebody else who has a gun. And the liberals laughing, oh, the good guy with a gun. Yeah, it is always a good guy with a gun. And when those shooters get confronted, they either get shot or they kill themselves. Almost all of the time. Sometimes they surrender. Sometimes they survive it. Often the times, once they're confronted by force, they end up killing themselves. They nope out. They unalive. Probably should have just done that in the first place if you're going to be demented enough to try to go harm other people. But it ultimately is other people who can apply force to stop that force. Other people who have weapons to do that. Let's move on.
They have been used in some of the deadliest mass shootings in this nation. Rhode Island has already...
Emotional appeal. Give up your rights because of an emotional appeal. Be disarmed and helpless in your home when gangs of people break into your home that the law just keeps letting out, slap on the wrist, tell them they're victims. But feel guilty for your gun ownership. And disarm yourself. Is she going to be there to protect you? Nope.
Realized that, and we have already said that these firearms are too dangerous to sell. This bill follows through on that decision and says that they are too dangerous to possess as well. Now, I want to address directly what will be raised, and that is the takings clause in the Fifth Amendment.
Too dangerous. Guns that are allowed all across America, in many states, that are used lawfully all the time, that are defending people all the time, that are part of shooting hobbies. There's YouTube gun content creators. People are exercising these rights. There's tens of millions of gun owners. There's hundreds of millions of guns. This is something widely in possession. There's countless AR-15s, AK-47 style rifles, battle rifles, all kinds of semi-automatic firearms. There's NFA fully automatic firearms. There's all kinds of things. Most firearms are semi-automatic in some way, unless you're looking at bolt actions, revolvers, different things like that. But I mean, semi-automatic firearms are the most common kind of firearms in possession because it just makes sense. It's like, why would I buy again the typewriter when I buy the computer? That wouldn't make sense. And then they go, well, you know, if you can create that many words on a computer, if you can do programming on a computer, then you could create a virus. You can do something bad with that virus that could harm other computers. You could create unlawful material on that computer. You could do hate speech and things on the computer. So, you know what? We've determined that the computer and access to the internet is too dangerous. And so you're not allowed to have that. You need to ban that. And you know what? We determined that just being able to even to own it still. We banned the sale and possession of the computers, but just owning it still is still too dangerous. If we decided you couldn't sell it here, then possession is still a problem. So you know what? You need to go ahead and sell, turn in your computer, get rid of that because we determined as a state that it's too dangerous. This is her line of argument with the guns. You could apply this in so many. You know what? A car with a gas tank it's just too dangerous. It allows you to travel. People who travel can do harmful things. People get into car accidents. People use their vehicles as weapons. People use their vehicles and, domestic violence and crimes and theft. So you know what? Having a vehicle is too dangerous. You know, we ban the sale of these certain kinds of cars. Maybe your car needs to have 1 gallon of gas instead of 15 because 15 gallons is a high capacity gas tank. And so that's too much. So we're going to reduce that to like 1 gallon. So you can't drive very far. You can't run from the police for very long. And you know what? We're still allowing vehicles that have like 13, 15 gallon gas tanks. And you know what? That's we already determined it's too dangerous to sell those vehicles here. So we're going to go ahead and say, you need to sell that vehicle. You need to get rid of that vehicle. You don't have the right to travel around in that way because people do bad things and exploit that. And we just determined as a state that it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous to leave your home. You know what? Put on that mask. Also, no kings. Lying, tyrannical people that are the antithesis to our country. Like, get out. Get out. This Karen and the illegals. Go away. You want a country like that? There are other countries for you. Literally anywhere in the world will agree with you more than America. If you want more gun tyranny, if you want to be disarmed and around other disarmed, helpless people, you can go virtually anywhere else. Because they will have laws that will restrict it more than in America. So go somewhere else. Why do you have to ruin it here? Because it's about control.
We should not.
Because they want power. They got to ruin the last real bastion of freedom in the world.
Use this as a reason to avoid acting. Courts have long recognized that when the state regulates dangerous items in the interest of public safety, it is exercising its police power, not taking public property for private use or not.
So she's going, well, the courts already are willing to they're willing to justify violating your rights to a degree. Though she might be referencing things that are not specific to protected constitutional rights things. Obviously, the government can make laws regulating all sorts of things that have to do with safety. I mean, just in so many ways. Like, obviously, that is something the government can do. And so she wants to apply that then to, well, they can do it in these areas, so we're going to apply it to this. And so they want to do the same thing again with speech. Well, if your speech is hateful, it's dangerous speech. Speech is violence. And so they want to be able to control that as well, right? And censor your content, censor your speech, and cancel you. We've already seen it done. This is what they do, and this is how they think. None of this is new or surprising.
Taking property for public use, And we are not breaking new ground here. There are multiple states that already regulate or prohibit the possession of assault weapons.
Well, the other states are already violating the Constitution and doing this. They already took these rights. They already took these rights away. They already curtailed them. So we should be doing that too, and we should be taking it even farther. Wow, what a powerful argument! I wonder if she was at a No Kings protest.
So the idea that possession cannot be regulated is simply not accurate. And here in Rhode Island, this chamber passed legislation last year that restricted...
Hey, does she know what a woman is? Does she actually care about accuracy and truth and legal precedents and things like that, or Supreme Court decisions on things? Does she actually care? I don't think so. It's all a power move. It's just like say things. It's just say things and see if you can convince people. And it doesn't matter whether it is constitutional. It doesn't matter if it is actually true and good. Just say things, win people over and tug on the emotional appeals. And it works with a lot of people.
That perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done.
Possession of certain weapons, but that bill did not ultimately become law. That version of the bill did not ultimately become law. If there are concerns about how to structure this bill to withstand judicial review, then let's address those concerns. Let's work through them.
Let's just do what we got to do to whatever that process is to violate your rights. Let's go through those steps and then go ahead and do it. Okay, where does she stand on the whole ICE thing? Where does she stand on illegal aliens being taken from home, places of work, random places, whatever, by what the left portrays as a Gestapo? Because what she's proposing, what they've already done by making the assault weapons illegal, and what so many liberal states have done, is turn all kinds of Americans into felons, into criminals, for something that they have a legal right to, a constitutional right to. And it's just a human right to be able to own these things and defend themselves with arms. And they turn them into criminals just because of that. And the same people who are so for legalizing drugs and legalizing all manner of crime also want to make it illegal to do something that is so basic as to be able to defend yourself, to be able to defend your country, to be able to defend yourself from a country that becomes tyrannical. A country that becomes a tyrannical, Marxist, oppressive state that wants to take everything from you and view you as just as simply property of the state that needs to be controlled, which is what the left wants. I don't care about the moderates who don't feel that way. The radical left is steering the ship, and that is what they want to be moving towards for decades and for like 100 years. The liberals who don't want that need to lift up their voices more and be something else, because it is the radicals that are steering the ship. The liberals would need to be something that's far more pro-American. Otherwise, the radicals are just going to keep steering the ship.
That is why we hold bills for further study, to make them the strongest version possible. But to say that we cannot act because of that concern and to use it as an excuse for inaction is both irresponsible and inconsistent with what...
We just got to take action. It's just got to take action. Is it unconstitutional? Does it violate the legal process? We just got to take action. We just got to do it.
Other states have already done and defended in court. And frankly, it isn't consistent with what we passed last year.
Do those states honor when their laws get slapped down by the Constitution or by the Supreme Court? I mean, obviously they're already violating the Constitution, but then they get slapped down by the Supreme Court rulings, but then they don't change. They double down on it. They find new ways of articulating their laws to still violate what the thing is. Okay, like New York City, I think, made it illegal to carry a weapon like on any sorts of different properties, like all over the place in the city. So it's like, oh, okay, we gotta acknowledge your right to be able to carry, to I think get a license to be able to carry, because they didn't like issuing licenses, but you can't carry it on like any property anywhere. So they find just another way to violate that right. And then they go out and say, no kings, and vote for a socialist.
At its core, this bill is about finishing what we started. We made a policy decision that these weapons are too dangerous to be sold in our communities.
Finishing what they started. It's all this incrementalism. It's all been incrementalism. The left has just been, again, for decades, this means of incrementally changing America, incrementally taking more of our rights and changing our expectations and destroying the fabric of our society in so many ways, and just doing it incrementally. It's just in the past like 15 years or so, ever since Obama, 2008, that's like 18 years now. Then they became really open with the radicalism, taking bigger chunks, stopped being as incremental and going for the big leaps. And yet it's always been about that. It's always been about taking more. It hasn't been about celebrating the things that are actually America. It's always been about tearing down America. Convince me otherwise. What democratic positions, what are the positions on the left that have been pro-America that haven't been about transforming and changing radically through gradual implementation, gradual changes that eat away of the fabric of our society, of the laws of our society, to transform it into something else, frankly, into an oppressed third world country with a massive, bloated, totalitarian government. I can't even... there's a degree that I can't fault the No Kings people, in that we do have an overbloated government, except it's not a king. It is this overbloated bureaucracy, which I've spoken to in previous videos, and it is out of control. It is far too much. And even when conservatives are in power, they don't decrease the budgets, they don't spend less, they don't limit the government's powers in ways that they should, that they can't pass the SAVE Act, they don't do anything when they're in power, they don't do anything to show that they're actually about it. We need like a Restore America party, like they've got Restore in Britain, because the Republicans are useless. So there's all these people leaving the left because the left is ridiculous. But then they come over to the right, and like, what are they going to find with the Republican Party? Is a party of friggin' maybe like talk tough wimps that when they actually have the steering wheel, well, they just kind of keep going in the same direction that the left has taken us, and they do so little, and they'll turncoat so that things don't get passed.
This legislation ensures that the decision is both meaningful and effective over time. I respectfully ask for your support.
How freedom dies right there. Sitting there, having her little speech, talking about a Hitleristic, Stalinistic, totalitarian program of disarming the American people. Forcefully. Make them felons, make them criminals for what is a basic right in our country, what's part of our culture, what's part of our history. People who think this way should be pariahs in America because they don't represent American values, because they represent totalitarian values and want to criminalize people for something that is normal and healthy and safe for America. They want us, they want the gun owners to be not just pariahs, not just shame, but they want us to be felons in jail. They want it to be federal agents not going after illegal aliens. They want it to be federal agents, police, whatever, going door to door to people's homes using means of registration to go find gun owners and go to their homes and forcefully disarm them and kill them if they fight back, defending their rights. This is what the liberals want. This is what they fantasize about. And if they can get people to just, as in Britain, as in Australia, as in New Zealand, as in South Africa, give up their arms peacefully and just give them up, or hide them and conceal them, only to, if they actually use it, get caught. If they defend themselves, get caught, so that they're in more trouble than the person who tried to break in or harm them. That's what they want the state of things to be. And like that, it's evil, it's twisted, it's sinister, it's part of the larger agenda to take control of our nation, to put it under authoritarian Marxist control. And of course, there's the hypocrisy that they'll be okay with their brown shirt Antifas, with their leftists having the guns. All of a sudden, well, the police need to be stop being militarized and defund them and defund prisons. But also at the same time, they'll need some sort of force that's going to disarm America and go shoot American citizens because they're holding on to their Second Amendment rights. Oh, and also no kings. It's mind-numbing. It's an insane position. It's deeply un-American. It's deeply totalitarian. And she has the freedoms here. She has the freedoms here to call for her own oppression. Wow. Like this is what the leftist, feminist women, this is what they do with their freedom. Is they call for their freedom to be taken away. They call for that men can be women and beat them at their own sports. They call for mass Muslim migration to come in, where women have vastly less rights and are treated vastly poorer than they are in the West. And they call for their own censorship and disarmament. Make any of this make sense to me? Please leave a comment. If you like this, please subscribe. What am I missing here? What's not making sense to me? What world does this make sense? Please help me understand. Because I'm struggling to understand the thought processes here. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.